Oh yeah. Hey guys, how's it going? 6:50. We got Matt Downey on the program tonight, so I had to start with a big redneck fire, burning some of my cedar signals. Darren, good to see you. Hunter, right on. Oh, look at all. Hey Theo, that pretty quick. You're usually a little bit later. Good to see everybody. Simon joining in. Nice. How's everybody doing today? Well, I got this for my little one, so that's a good sign. It was a good day. And right on. Fire ban. Yeah, there's a forest fire actually down the road in Squamish. No fire ban, so I'm having a fire here though. Right on. Sup? How's it going? Jory, good to see you. Ooh, Matt Downey, he's even watching. We're going to bring him on in a few. Just want to say hi to everybody. Maybe we'll bring on Matt right now. Let's see if we can bring him in. Because, hey, when you're going to bring in a redneck. Oh, there he is.
Dave.
Dude, we can just see your man boobs.
Justin, hang on. How's that?
All I
Good, buddy.
all I could see was your man boobs, buddy. How's it going, dude? I'm about to practice. Oh, I love it.
Cheers, buddy.
Hey, let's cheers it.
Yeah.
Hey, it seems like you got a little bit of the Norona virus. You must have been. You must have been. You must have been feel a little weak. And did you get your snow check in?
I did, yes.
How many turbos did you order?
At least a half a dozen. Not that you need more than one, but for friends.
That's awesome. Jeremy Mercier is joining in. I love. Hey, Mercier, I know that you just had a big dump of POW, so this fire's for you to stay warm. Look at this thing go, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, so I brought you in early, but I'm just going to say a few words and start off the show and you're a big part of this. Number one, Snow Check is sort of finishing up, and want to say thank you to all those owners that will be new, happy sled owners for 2021. We've had a great response and very, very cool. I also want to, on the other side of that, bring some, or not sad news. It is, very sad, but a year ago today is when Dave Treadway passed away, skiing up not too far from here out of Pemberton. And that guy was the embodiment of outdoor sports, of skiing and sledder. And every day, I think people miss him. He had an amazing family. And I'm sure they miss him dearly, but we, all his friends and myself included, I miss seeing him in the mountains. He always had this huge smile, and he has a hashtag Chase Life. So if you want to search out Dave Treadway, they also have a real GoFundMe for their family. Actually, his wife was pregnant when that happened, so he never got to meet one of his sons. He has 3 of them. And so she's the amazing woman that she is. No doubt that getting through all that is going to be is a daily thing. So anything we can send them. Likewise with Rob Kincaid, his family also has a GoFundMe. So I know the sledding world has huge hearts, and at this time, this is everybody needs a little bit of help for sure. So make sure you can help everybody. The other thing I wanted to move on to is, Matt, you're going to help me with this, is the number one question I get at this time of the year is, hey, Norona, what do I need to do for my sled to get it ready for the summer? So I actually brought in a few products that I use, and it's really actually quite simple. So one of the things that I do is you can either fill your tank. I usually either fill my tank, or if it's half full, I use a fuel stabilizer. This is the XPS product, fuel stabilizer. So just put some of that in your fuel, let it run for 2 to 3, 4 minutes, let it get right through into the motor and do its thing. And fuel lasts actually quite a long time. Now it's sort of a falsehood that fuel goes really bad. I mean, you have to leave it in there for a long, long time to do that. And to clean your sled, because you want to put it away clean, is probably this is an all new product. It's the XPS degreaser and cleaner. So this stuff will get everything off, like those exhaust stains, dirt stains, trees. Matt, you know, like all the trees that you hit.
Yeah.
And gets this like
Allegedly.
so clean. I use this on my dirt bike. I use it on my e-bike. I use it on my trials bike. I use it on my sled. This stuff is just magic, and you don't need to use a lot of it. It really does the work. And then what I do is I take my belt off and I clean inside of just everywhere that you can get. That really the cleaner degreaser does all the dirt on the outside and around the tunnel and everything and underside. But really what you want for cleaning your clutch sheaves is this S1 from XPS. So this stuff is like, doesn't leave any residue. It works. Like you don't have to spray this on. You just spray it into like a cloth. And like I use those blue shop cloths and then just wipe and get everything clean. It'll get any belt residue off there, rubber stains, dust, dirt, you name it. And so this actually lasts quite a long time if you do it right. You don't need to spray the whole thing down. So, and then, you know, put your cover on. Put it in a nice sort of dry spot in your garage or outside where it's not going to be, you know, get, I don't know, mangled by a lot of stuff. And I usually pile all my dirt bike tires on it, and then it becomes a storage area in the garage. What do you do, Matt?
Yeah, pretty much that, Dave. Yeah, treat the fuel, and I do like to top it off. I just figure if the tank is full with treated fuel, there's less room for condensation.
Yep.
And gremlins. Yeah, the fuel, clean the clutches and inspect all that stuff. I will do the chain case at the end of the season, just in case, you know, get fresh oil, get any contaminants and water. The other thing I like to do is grease the skid.
Yep.
There should be 4 grease fittings, hit them, kind of work the skid. And then once you're done with all that, just wash the sled, you know, just for appearance, just wash, clean it up. The only other stuff would be change the oil, you know, and service it that way.
I thought a guy like you actually just lights a giant fire in the backyard and sends it into the fire because you're going to get a new one anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if our higher ups would necessarily appreciate that. It'd be a good video. I mean, in some ways, maybe.
Hey, they don't know about the show, and they don't need to know.
Yeah, right.
So I want to first of all welcome you to the show. It's an honor to have you on. And now I get to start with the first story because it's my damn show.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell everybody. So you talked about Jeff coming onto the team. You were actually the first guy who came onto the team after we kind of had a team for a while. And it's funny, nobody really knew you were coming onto the team. I remember you showed up at Heydays and we were chatting.
Yeah,
who is this guy hanging out in the booth? And then when we went to party that night, we got a party bus from our friend Kurt, who was going to drive it. And of course, any party bus we're going to head somewhere, we had to stop and get some, you know, a few beverages. And Matt was on the bus. And dude, you started hitting it hard pretty quick. I was like, I thought I hit it hard, but you were like, and I was like, at this point I had talked to you a bunch, and I was like, this guy's really awesome. And then after a few drinks, I was like, I don't know if this guy's gonna make it. I think he's gonna be sent home in the morning. He's getting pretty wild. Like you went from one where we all were to about 15. Yeah, to about 15, and then I don't know what happened. Is you in your way brought it back down to about 9.9, and then you hovered between 9.9 and 10.5 for the rest of the evening, and it was awesome. And dude, I have to tell you this: you're one of the most genuine, funny, different, right? Because we live in different parts of the world, guy. And as I've come to know and traveling on to shows, your name is synonymous with radness. Anybody who's come to your camps and done all stuff with you and ridden with you is like, that Matt Downey guy. That guy's rad. Easy, and they always have a story. It usually includes fire. And hey, so interrupting that story before we move on to you is at 7:00 here we always have we bang on stuff for our engines for support. So I because I'm by the fire, I just got this. I wanted to have the kid's xylophone, but my daughter was having none of that. So what do you got there? You got something? What do you got? You got a grenade in your garage or something?
We do. We got a couple of grenade launchers. In case. Better to have and not need than need and not have, Dave.
I love it. I'm gonna, because we're gonna ramp this up a little bit. I'll let you grab a drink, grab a pole. We're gonna ramp this fire up a little bit just so I can burn my back. And I want you to introduce yourself and where you live, and
Okay.
let's start with that.
Sure. So I live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. A lot of people, Dave, don't know that there's actually two Michigans. And right now I do live in the better Michigan. So I live like right here. This is the Upper Peninsula. I live about right here. So it's a cool place. I always try and tell people, for not being out west or up by in full scale mountains, where I'm at is pretty darn good. We get pretty good snowfall, 300-400 inches a year typically on good years, which is pretty good for not being, at elevation.
Yeah. And is that because it's a little bit of lake effect?
Yeah, right off Lake Superior. So when it kicks in, like we just got done, we didn't get quite as much snow as they were predicting, but they were saying 2 feet to 30 inches. We got maybe a foot at best in the deepest areas, but not bad.
Yeah, I got a comment here. Yopper here. What does that mean? Is that Is that a yes?
Youper?
Youper.
Youper. So Youper is basically like the term for people that live in the Upper Peninsula. They're like the Youpers, and people that live downstate, they don't like this, but they're the trolls.
Somebody also said Titty City.
Oh, I don't know about that. That's not up there.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. So super cool. Now, why don't we talk a little bit about how you got involved with Ski-Doo?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I've been doing backcountry guiding and riding clinics and that sort of stuff for a while now. I mean, it's been a good run. It's been 20 plus years, and over the years of doing it, hopefully get better at it and keep working at it. And part of the big progression, Dave, you're in the thick of it too, is just the progression of sleds. We thought they were awesome back then. We were doing cool stuff, and as the sleds keep going, at some point the technique stays the same, but the riding does change a little bit. So there's been a lot of progression just over the years. And the other thing is just stuck with it. You probably know better than anybody, things don't happen overnight. And sometimes to get to this point where I'm at now might have been 20 years of little baby steps where we want to hit leaps and bounds, A, B, C, D, boom, we're there. 1, 2, 3, easy peasy, when in fact, a lot of times isn't big jumps and leaps. A lot of times it's steady ground you're gaining, a little bit at a time, and that's hard to do and stick with it. But the reward is definitely worth it,
Yeah, well, as I say, what you said perfectly is it kind of filters out the people that aren't really in it with their heart. And not to say that people that don't make it might or make what they want don't have it in their heart. But there's lots of reasons to be involved with a team or work with a manufacturer. And I think what happens is, a lot of people are like, I just want to get there. And instead of looking for the long, I always say if there's a quick way and a little bit of longer way, always take the longer way, because what you're going to learn that longer way is only going to help you once you get there. And sometimes when you get there the quick way, you don't either appreciate it or you don't know how to appreciate it because you haven't been taught some of the little tricks and tribulations, and then they come back to bite you in the butt. So yeah, I love that it took you. It doesn't seem like it takes you a long time because you're just doing what you do, and then all of a sudden the opportunity presents itself and you're ready to kind of pounce on it.
Sure. And and don't get me wrong too, there's been things along the way and a lot of people along the way that have helped, so I don't want to make it seem that it was a solo mission by no means, from the beginning all the way along, whether it's customers, other friends, other people that were help guiding and helped start things in the beginning, to other people that met up through the process and started doing clinics with, and and a lot of other people that led to other sponsorships, and so there's been a lot of great people along the way. So I got to say that too. But at the root of it, you gotta be in it for the long haul, or have that mentality.
Yeah, we get it a lot. I'm sure, you do at the shows is, people want to work with a manufacturer and how can they be more involved and what's the magic secret? And really, there isn't necessarily a magic secret. I think that everything that we do on our team, we have really, genuine people that love the brand and have always been a part of the brand and first and foremost. And then we're not afraid to sort of like work really hard. The hard work came before we kind of got maybe the acceptance or the rewards. And it's just like any job, right? Most people, you got to work 2 weeks to get paid. And somehow a lot of people think that sponsorship is, hey, give me all this stuff and then I'll go do it for you. And that's a really backwards way of looking at it. We talked about that the last time when, if you ask any shop owner or sponsored team, they always say, oh, the team guys, their handshake is like this, right? What are you going to give me? And instead of looking at it like what can I do for you guys, and if it works, it works. I always tell one of the best things I think I learned that talking to sponsors early on is, like, I always say, if this doesn't work, if this doesn't make you money and doesn't make you more money, I don't want you to do it. And they look at you strangely because a lot of athletes look at it as like, what are you going to give me? Come on, just give me all that stuff. I need it. And then they don't think of like everything that comes out of a company or whatever has a dollar attached to it. It didn't come off a tree. Someone is paying for it somewhere. And when you reciprocate it and pay for it in other ways, that's a fun way of doing it. And that's what I love about it. But it's, when people always like say, oh, it's free or this, that, it's like, hey, buddy, I always say to guys, it's like, you should try to offer a 6-to-1 ratio. For every dollar your sponsor gives you, you try to make them 6. And if you're not doing that, then you're not helping anybody but yourself. And when you do that, you, as a business person, you make it impossible to be fired unless you're like trying to run around like Costanza in a bodysuit, which I have thought about doing many times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't believe I made you speechless.
Yeah, it's all right.
So we love that you're a part of the team. I think it's so great that how we've branched out and you cross over a lot of different areas, from the backcountry, which we'll get into, backcountry X, and also the summit. And so, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. We'll get into that, but I want to start off with the story of, I forget which it was. Was it the last year's club? No, not this year's, last year's. And you got caught out with your truck?
Yeah. So that was last year. Yeah, we're, first club and getting ready to head out. It's tough flying out of Houghton. It's tough driving out of Houghton. It's really tough flying out of Houghton in the winter. And yeah, basically I needed to be at the airport for the early flight, which means I needed to leave my house about like 4 a.m. to be there in time. We don't have Ubers up here. Taxi isn't really an option. I didn't want to call a friend to, put them in that position to have to wake up at 4 a.m. So yeah, the tranny went out on the truck and I needed to be at the airport. So I fired up old Shred Red 2019 backcountry and took it from my house and went to the airport and just parked it right in the parking lot with all the other cars for the overnight parking. And I'm friends with two of the TSA that work at the local airport, Jody and Lori. And I was like, is it all right if I park my sled here? And they're like, yeah, as long as we can put a sticker on it, So when I got back 3-4 days later, there's just a little tag, and they just come by every day and punch the holes for how many nights you're there, and you just pay, whatever, $5 or $10 for parking. And so they just stuck it on the handlebar. And I had all my gear that I didn't want to bring on the plane, helmet and boots and, outerwear and all that stuff. So I had to put that in a garbage bag and just stuffed it under the front of the sled. And got on the plane and made it to club.
Guys, It's legendary. I only said the only way that that would be more legendary is if you got on the plane with your boots and pants and everything.
I was going to, but knowing where we're going and not having a lot of room for all that stuff, I was like, oh, I better not.
Yeah, we were going to Dallas, so you probably would have been shot.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Hey,
could
we
have
just had
been good.
we had a question, and I think it's pertinent for you. Is a guy just said, sorry, I just forget your name because you went through, but he said, hey, have more test rides so we can get guys to switch from other brands. So I'll just touch on that a little bit. We love doing demo rides. The problem with demo rides is they're very expensive. We have 4 semi Ski-Doo. I say we, but Ski-Doo has 4 semis going around, and they, we know that it gets people out and it sells sleds, but it's really expensive. We get guys that show up that, they're supposed to be able to ride, but we've got guys up there that show up with to go riding in the mountains with a visor, and it fogs up and they ride right off the trail into the trees and destroy a sled, and you don't expect to pay for it. So just to show you what goes on that one side, I will say this: what you should talk to your dealer about if you're interested in trying a sled or trying different sizes, track size like a 2.5 versus 3, or a 54 to a 65, or even the 75, is tackle it with your local dealer. Get out there and that way you have to bring your sled, so they'll ride yours, you ride theirs. And then to me, the even better way is going out with someone like Matt. If you live near him, go hit one of his clinics and courses, because he'll let you try his, you'll try that, and you're going to have a wicked time. You're going to have a wicked trip, and you could try a bunch of different sleds. So the cool part of that is, yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but it's like anything today. That price that you pay to try something comes back to you tenfold, because you pick actually the exact right sled that you want. So it's not that Ski-Doo doesn't want to do demo rides. It just comes down to dollars. Like, I'll give you an example. In Whistler, when we had the demo here, so many people had known and tried the sled. It was quiet. Well, a lot of the Australians, love Australia, that were working in Whistler, they just got wind of like, hey, free sled ride. So that day, 15 people show up and they're riding sleds, but they're not even thinking of buying it. So it's where the cost, that gets passed on somewhere along the line. So we always are trying to think of ways to do it more effectively. And we really believe that the dealers are the ones, that they want to sell the sled to you, and they want to sell you the right sled, because if you get the right sled, then you're going to come back. And so it really is that. And so don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money, but make sure, then when you do it, you've got skin in the game, the dealer's got skin in the game, and everybody's a winner from that. Just because, we're not always going to be able to do free demo rides all over the place, and some people show up and some people don't, and then sometimes they get canceled because in the mountains with Abby safety and all that stuff that goes on. And Wilson Pruitt on our end, who does an amazing job, and there's a whole team of people that do it, he just kills it and does an amazing job. And so what do you think about that, Matt? Like, coming out with you and trying is a great way to try all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, exactly. The sleds are getting to be enough of a cost, and enough of an investment that it's worth taking the time to, listen to what other people have to say, watch the videos, do some research, but also, try and either get to a demo tour or get to your dealer to actually try them. And the demo tours are great because you can try a bunch of different sleds, especially if time's allowing. But hooking up with a guy like me or any of the other ambassadors, I'm happy to share my sled, try it out, compare, especially in similar snow conditions. It's nice when we can have the summit and a backcountry, or the summit, the backcountry, and a free ride, because that kind of is, those 3 sleds for a lot of people here in the Midwest is kind of the go-to. We do a lot of off-trail deep snow riding, but then there's also a lot of people that want to trail ride. And how it is, the summit and the free ride can do it a little bit, but it just depends how much of each genre of riding you're going to do.
Right. And we got a message from Ryan Cousy. He says, happy for people to try out our fleet. So, when you ask, that's what you get from a lot of either dealers or rental places, even renting a sled. If you go up, you and your buddy go out, or a couple buddies come to Canada or Western US, and all of a sudden you rent a bunch of sleds, rent 3 different ones, and then try them all each day, and then you actually
Exactly.
leave knowing a lot more about what you might want.
Yeah. And, and another thing too, if you're renting the sleds with your buddies, and it's available, rent 3 different sleds so that you guys can trade off and try them, in the same snow conditions on the same day in similar terrain. You can actually back to back to back try the sleds or whatever sled you're interested, turbo versus non-turbo, or whatever it is. It's worth getting on them and try it and it's more riding, so why not?
Yeah, and I got people. Cindy Wetter says, "Hey,
No,
I love riding with and learning from Matt. Excellent ladies coach." And the other is Dean Bingham. He's like, "You won't be disappointed. Quality time with Matt is priceless." So,
no,
yeah,
perfect.
dude, you gotta. What's so cool
Dean,
is seeing your fan base of people that have actually gone out with you, ridden with you, and dude, I should have a giant pig roasting on this thing right beside me because I feel like I'm roasting right now.
yeah, that's a nice fire. Where do you get the cedar shingles?
Well, I'll
Just
flip it around
leftovers?
here from that. I just the gazebo was it was over with the cedar shingle, so I basically took them all off the other day, and lots of time here to do. I'm doing all the chores, dude. I've painted all the trim.
Nice.
Yeah, everything's done here. I got all I got to do is roof that, and we're ready to
I,
go.
yeah, you want to see the floors I did in my room upstairs? Here, check this out. I don't know if you can see it. Is that nice or
Heck yeah.
what?
Oh, dude. So is that reclaimed and then?
No, it's rough sawn. It started off as rough sawn pine plank flooring. Some of these planks are a foot, and some of them are, 10 inches wide. So I had to sand all those. I had to put chinking in between them, and then the stain over all of it, and then clear coat over the top. But yeah, it started off as just like rough sawn pine.
So
A
when
lot
we're
of
talking.
sand.
What are we talking? Is that like a couple of cases of beer getting that done, or a
Oh,
couple
pallets
pallets?
of beer. Weeks of sanding.
Maybe is the floor the pallets that the beer came on?
I think it might have been easier next time. We'll see.
That that is awesome, buddy. Keep him busy. I know you like to do it. So I want to ask you, what's your most memorable memory on a sled?
There's
I know there's a
there's
lot.
a
There's
lot.
got to be a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot. Most what honestly, I would say this season, it's really hard to pick a best because there's so many. I would say this winter, the couple weeks I was out started off in Wyoming, and then I went over into Idaho. I won't say exactly where, just to keep it fun. But met some really great people and had some really good snow.
Yeah,
Really good.
I remember
And
seeing.
got to ride the turbo, Dave.
Yeah,
I got to ride
I
the
remember
turbo.
seeing that. Yeah, that we'll
It
get
was a
into
good
that a
trip.
little bit.
Yeah.
Someone asked here, which is a great question. What's your day job when you aren't ripping your Ski-Doo?
Riding sleds.
I love it.
No, I when I'm not doing sled stuff, I do concrete work. So, and I started off in excavating, did a lot of that site work and dirt work and road building, which then led into flat work, concrete work, and which has now led into more bridge repair, like structural custom concrete repair.
Wow.
So it's not easy work, but on one hand, you stay in really good shape for sled season.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll tell you the story. I met a guy who he went to Vietnam, and he was a guy that carried out downed pilots in Vietnam. And I said, "How'd you get that?" He said, "Well, when my first job," he said, "I used to carry cement bags off the train
yeah,
to the truck." And he said, "The first day I couldn't lift a 50-pound cement bag." And he said, "By the
yeah,
end of the summer, I was running with 2 of them over my shoulder."
yeah,
So
yeah. And
that's
if it's straight Portland, it'd be 94 pounds, so the bags are even bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they were at that. Maybe they were at that time. Might have got the weight wrong, but this guy was an animal, And when he actually went into the military, he broke the record for their obstacle course, and they didn't believe him that he did it. They said he must have cheated,
Yeah.
and then he did it again and broke his own record. So it just
Nice.
shows you that shape that you can get in, putting that,
Yeah.
like working in a hard, it's just like sledding, right? If you're like sledding in the outs in the cold and freezing weather when it's pounding down snow and visibility, and you're out there ripping, well, everything else in life seems pretty easy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so we like hard jobs, and they just keep the stoke, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
So
Just
I got another question here. What's your favorite
yeah.
sled for UP riding, and why?
You know, I've always personally preferred. I do love the free rides, but I've always preferred the little bit lighter weight of the Summit. It's not much, but just a little bit.
Yep.
If I only had to pick, one of those two, if I had any option, I'd pick two or three. Um, with that being said, so most of my riding, I've been on the Summit, and it's worked pretty good. I like the 146 length. It's really good for the UP. 154 is a little more manageable for climbing. It's not so wheelie-tastic.
Yep.
Um, so with that being said, then getting on the backcountry, it was a little bit of a learning curve at first because it really depends what you're doing. I guess we got to break it down a few ways. But the long story short, the more time I spent on the backcountry and the more I got to ride it, the more I really appreciated it. And especially last year, that was only a 146 2-inch, so it was a little bit smaller than what I was used to in the past.
Yeah.
And again, it's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get through that, it's fine, and it's actually a really great sled, especially for those that still want to trail ride.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest difference would be the front end. 38 to 40 approximately versus 36 to 38 that the Summit or Free Ride would
Right.
offer. And that's what I tell people. It's at some point you have to make a choice and lean kind of one direction more or the other. Either you're leaning more deep snow or you're leaning more, groom trail, because you can't really do both. But with that said, the backcountry does a pretty darn good job of basically an impossible task, because it's like you're trying to take both worlds and combine them, and that's really hard to do. But yeah, so I guess for people that are on the fence about what sled to pick, really the front end probably would be the biggest factor. You'd probably want a little bit wider front end for better trail capabilities.
Yeah.
But that the backcountry is great in deep snow. And with that quick adjust with the Ski-Doo quick adjust kit, for $50 approximately or whatever it is, it kind of solves that problem then. Because it's no tools required, and you can set your ski stance in and out, boom, boom, no tools, depending on what you're doing for the day, or even multiple times can change it throughout the day.
Yeah.
And
I think we really have to, I talk about I've done different shows like the Novi show. You really have to talk to guys and say, what do you like to do? Because the answer is not what I might think that you should have. It really is answer all the questions honestly, and then the sled that you want is right there. But if you kind of like, I know we all wish that, I'm lucky I live in BC, so we get lots of great, like deep snow. But if you don't all the time, then you might not need the length of a 175, obviously. So it really, I know you might want it, and that's fine too. But the reality is we really want people to have the best sled that suits the 90 or 80% of their riding, and that they do, not the 10% that they wish they were doing all the time, and then they're just going to have a better experience. And I think you do a really good job of that, because that backcountry X it's an amazing sled, and those little tidbits. So a word to the wise, if you have questions, I mean, I pass people on to you and Jeff and Rob all the time, because they'll ask me a question on the trail side or utility side, or kind of doing both mountain and trail. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just the wrong person to answer that effectively. And, I send Matt an email, and or a message on Facebook or Instagram, and boom, they got their question answered, and by someone who's actually really doing both. So I think that makes a really, really good job. I want to say hi to Lisa Guire, rad woman rider out of Idaho. Good to see you joining in. And yeah, she's a rock star. Okay, what's the scariest moment you've had on snow? Because there's got to be a few of those, dude.
There's a couple this year. Yeah, in the past, this one, my good buddy Lefty, was there for this one, and I think Matt Bennon might have been there. I think they both were.
I know both those fine fellows. Those guys are
top-notch guys. Some of the first guys I met when I first started coming out west, a long time ago. So yeah, good top-notch guys. But yeah, probably the scariest was we were out as a group. I think we were filming that day. Coming back late afternoon. Of course, everyone's basically out of fuel. I saw one more hill. Why not go up it, And I remember even saying it was nasty. And I remember looking up at it, not really seeing the top, and saying, well, it's not like I'm going to fly over the top and launch down the other side or anything like that. So I proceeded to pin it to win it and head up the hill. And about 85% of the way up the hill, I realized I was carrying a little bit too much speed, because the worst thing is to not carry enough speed. So I made sure I had enough. And I probably could have let off a little bit sooner. And basically, rather than just topping out, I really topped out and hit the brakes, because yeah, on the other side was probably about an 800-foot drop, and yeah, basically landed on a narrow ridge up top, and it was one of those like whoo, and yeah, it was a predicament to get back down, and was a little bit embarrassed because it held up the whole group at that point. And what seemed like just one more run, just one more, could have been pretty bad. It could have been. So
yeah. Well, you know what? That brings up a great point here to add is we get lots of guys who come out to BC, come out to Togedy, all these rad places. And of course, being sledders, there's a lot of ego there. We don't need a guide. I'll tell you right now, if you go on a trip, the best money you can spend is on a guide. And a guy like if you go to the UP, get with with Matt, or you go out with like Lefty or Matt, those guys, because all it is, they're not going to tell you what to do. That's what's great about guides like Matt and all the people we've mentioned. They're not going to tell you what to do. They're going to tell you maybe a few warning signs, because they know the area, and they're going to take you. Here's a secret about Togedy too, is everybody rides from the cabin and then they go out looking for powder. So you have to remember, right? Like there's 2 million acres, I think there. It never gets ridden out. So what does get ridden out is close to the lodge. So people go out, 3 miles, and we got wicked snow. They're still just riding new snow on top of snow that's been ridden. What you got to do, and what those guides do, they'll get on a trail system and get out of there for 20 or 30 miles. And you'll be like, what's going on here? But when you pull off at 20 or 30 miles, you're going to be riding the deepest snow, because no one's been there. No one's been there all year, and it's been dumping. And then what you do is you work your way back to the cabin. Usually what happens is people start 3 miles from the cabin or the lodge, and then as they get out, at the end of the day, when they're out of fuel and tired, is when they get to the best spot. So the guides will really help you, and they know where the snow and the wind and everything blows in. And man, it is the best. I go to Togedy all the time, and I've done it both ways with guys. We know the area, and I can tell right away in the first 10 minutes that they don't really know the area. And I've gone with guides, and all of a sudden, like Matt and all you're going, you come back at the end of the day filled with, you can't stop permagrin, because they got you to the snow that everybody wanted.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's one of those things, you're spending all that money and time and effort to get a trip together. And like you said, it's just, if nothing else, just the ease of being able to focus on riding and having fun, and not having to worry so much about where you are, yeah, what's around this next corner? Is this a good downhill? The guides know all that. They're
Yeah,
basically getting you from area to area and fun spot to fun spot, and you're just along for the fun part. They're doing the hard work, keeping it tabs on everybody, and navigating and that sort of thing. And yeah, that's a big relief.
yeah.
I mean, obviously everyone should be conscious of navigation and where you're at, and that sort of thing, even if you do have a guide, but it sure relieves a lot of that stress.
Yeah, I mean, the guiding that I've done and the guiding that you've done, which is way more extensive, like your stress level doesn't go down until everybody's back at the hotel safe at night. And so, that's why your story's so pertinent, is that, same area, Togedy. I remember we were super deep day. We're out. We wanted to get down into the zone, and we were kind of looking like, if I was there with just my buddies, I wouldn't really know how to get down there. And the guide actually said, "Oh, we'll go along this ridge." And sure enough, as we went down the ridge, I felt the whole thing woomph, and we sympathetically released the whole slope. But we were in a safe area. Had someone drop down, and you see lots of deaths out there, like a lot of the really steep terrain finishes in trees. So you get a big open slope, and then they finish at the bottom of like a cut block or trees. So if you get washed down, you're in the trees. That's usually what would kill you, not just the avalanche. So the way we came down was totally safe. And then when we got to the bottom, we realized, he goes, "Oh yeah, I knew that would go. That's why I went down this way." And you look and you go, that's a huge skill, and something that someone from that area just does not. I have those skills in my area, but I don't have them in other areas. And that is the biggest thing, like you said, is for safety, for the fun, and for the knowledge. And you're just going to spend more time ripping and having fun and less time going, hey, arguing with your buddies if you should go left or right or down the middle to find the better stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, what was somebody had a question for you? What's your favorite sled for UP riding, and why?
So my favorite sled. Yeah, I mean, honestly, now again that I've been on the backcountry for a few seasons now, especially the XRS, really nice shock package. If you're into jumping, I definitely would recommend the RS package, the X with RS package. X is great too. But yeah, for me, it would probably be the backcountry in the 154 with a 2.5, 850 two-stroke motor, or the Summit, probably in a 154.
Sweet.
Yeah, and I probably would get the turbo, and that would be my out west buggy.
Yeah. Now,
Because again, at low elevation, it probably won't do much, but yeah, it would be nice to have just a mountain dedicated sled. That
yeah.
could get either in the mountains or a sled with a little more giddy up.
Yeah, it's funny because we live at 12, like in Squamish. I'm at bottom of riding area is 1,200 feet, and then we ride all the way
Yeah.
up at 7,500 feet. And people were like, "Oh, the turbo's not even going to make a difference there." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it makes a huge difference there." So it really makes a difference everywhere, although you're not going to see that down at sea level in a lot of places for sure. But tell us your thoughts on the turbo, when you got to ride it, what you thought of it. Yeah.
I mean, hands down, again, for all around package, it's phenomenal to have a factory sled with factory warranty and factory built top to bottom. It's not, factory sled with an add-on kit. It's all BRP, and you have that warranty. And I believe you can send it out to 3 years now if you want, right?
Yep.
3-year warranty.
Yep.
I mean, that's huge. Yeah, it's a little more than the regular Summit, but yeah, well worth it for that little bit extra that it is over a regular Summit, hands down. It's just incredible. I rode my buddy Chuck Whitesell's sled when I was out in Idaho, and I think after a couple of minutes he regretted letting me ride it because the few times I came looping back through, whoa, 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 that's enough, come back. And I just pretended not to hear him. But yeah, it opens up kind of a whole new ball game as far as riding, and it's little bit of a learning curve just to get used to that power, you know, on the new Summit. But after a few minutes and you kind of get used to it, start rallying, it's hand us down. It's just an awesome machine, just incredible.
Yeah,
You know?
it's so much fun. It's hard to put it into words for sure, but it sure does bring a smile to your face.
Yeah, I mean, it's. What are your thoughts, Dave?
Well, I absolutely
Are
love it. I
you
mean, yeah, from
getting
the
the free ride or Summit?
no,
You.
I'm a Summit guy. I mean, I have usually have both, but I'm a 175 turbo Summit. That's the sled I love. You know, I'm a small guy, and but just for what I love doing and where the deep snow, that thing is magic. And if it hindered me, like if it didn't turn tight and didn't do lots of stuff that I love to do, I wouldn't get it. I'd just go down a size. But you know, Carl Kuster really pushed me on to the longer sled sizes, and I won't go back. And you know, for the guys that had a 175 and now they're thinking, oh, I'm going to go back to a 65. It'll be more lively. You know, with the turbo and the short tunnel now and the expert package, oh my, it's night and day. It's not even the same sled, not even remotely close. So it's like going from the 174 to a 175 in the G4 platform. It's not even fair, right? It's yeah, you know, they got the size there, but the reality is like the G4 is so much lighter, more nimble, turns quicker. And then when you add the expert package, that was the biggest surprise last year, I think, for most people is, oh yeah, these things don't make a difference. And what Ski-Doo always does, the engineers do really well, and marketing does really well, is the price point is you're crazy. And, you know, Ryan Harris said, you know, if you like riding deep snow and you like riding the mountains and you're not thinking about a turbo, what are you thinking about? Because that's exactly what we've all been waiting for, is more power in a clean delivery that doesn't have lag and isn't a monster to handle. This is, you know, when you're in the game, you're in the game on the turbo. There's no doubt about it. It moves faster and quicker, but you don't have to ride it like that either. So on those days when it's set up snow, you know, and you have a aftermarket turbo, you're kind of hating life because it's too fast. You got to be super overly strong to control it. And this is not that. It's when it's set up, you ride it like a normal naturally aspirated 850. So I'm sold on it for sure. I was the minute I rode it. It was incredible. So I want to get quickly, before we move into the next question, some quick questions for you, buddy. You wear a onesie or take off your pants and jacket?
I have really grown to love the onesie. For outerwear, you mean, or long johns?
No, both. Well, both, dude. There's nothing like a onesie in the long johns and then throwing them.
I have a red Union suit with the back door hatch. I don't wear it riding, but it's nice to have, you know.
That's a lie. I know you wear that riding. Hey, what's on your playlist?
Playlist. All right. Waylon Jennings, country.
Yeah.
Some new people that I've been really getting into is Sturgill Simpson. It's like kind of like new style. There's a couple groups that are like new style Waylon Jennings. Sturgill Simpson and Whitey Morgan in the 78s. They're really good.
Dude, I'm gonna check those out. Sunrise or sunset?
I think sunrise, but it's hard to say.
Sunrise is pretty sick because not many people get to see it.
Yeah, there is something about, and I don't do it that often, but I do enjoy getting up at before the crack of dawn, getting out and actually watching the sun come up. I like doing that when I'm camping.
Yeah, well, that's when it's really magic, because you're waiting for the heat of the day, and as soon as that sun starts, it means backcountry or summit.
If I had to choose just one, for just riding here in the UP,
yeah,
or all over, I mean,
just answer the question. Don't answer questions with a question. Just answer the question.
Probably summit, just because the narrower front end. If I had to pick only one.
All right, cool. Vans or flip-flops?
Oh, work boots.
Yeah. You get beat up for wearing flip-flops in the UP, I would imagine. Like, what would happen? What would happen when I came out to visit you and we were going out to a UP bar And I was like, hey, Matt, should I wear my flip flops?
You, you know, Dave, that's the one nice thing about up here. There's a pretty good spread in the mix of people, culture.
So they're
I
accepting.
mean, you would be accepted.
They'd
Yeah,
be
there'd
like,
be people in their Birkenstocks, and there are people in cowboy boots and loggers and logger boots. I mean, we got everybody up here, and everyone pretty much gets along pretty good for
they'd
the
be
most
like
part.
that short guy, that short dark guy wearing flip flops doesn't belong here, but we welcome him.
Well, and being from Canada, that would be a huge bonus too, because here in the UP, it's pretty close to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
We use A and hay. We pank snow. We
What does
take
that?
sauna.
What does that mean? What is
You know,
pank snowy?
Yeah, so I figured, yeah, a lot of Canadian friends that I've met, I really thought you guys would have known this one. So pank, P-A-N-K, so like where you walk the snow, like you would pank the snow in front of your sled. It's like pack, but we say
Okay.
pank. So like
Yeah.
you would pack snow in front of your sled, like where you walk it in to make a trail, like if you're stuck or something, just to get going.
Yeah. Give me another one. Give me another one of those.
Well, it's sauna, like Sowna, not sauna, for all you people. Ridiculous.
It's like
Sauna.
it's like
Sauna.
you know what
What
New
is that?
Zealand
I don't even know what language that is. It's sauna
you
and
know what
muck it on taters.
it's like the New
Give me,
Zealanders that call a Subaru Subaru.
I like that Subaru. That's a good
Yeah.
one. That's
They're
really
trying to
good.
make it sound more expensive. Uh
hmm
Coffee or Red Bull?
Coffee.
Well, I would thought you would do both, like add the Red Bull to the
You know,
coffee.
yeah, I started, I thought maybe coffee would be a good thing maybe to ease off of. And so then I started having Red Bulls in replacement or like a Monster. Um, I don't know, that just doesn't suit my body style. Too many ups and downs.
Yeah, dude, you just sounded like you're going kind of like you're like going more healthy, and that sounds more
Yeah.
to California. I don't like it. No,
I did have a pound of bacon for dinner.
okay, that's exact. Like
So
people don't know, but we roomed in Cancun together, and when Steve told me I was rooming with you,
he was like,
I number one bought a handgun, and number
yeah.
two, I was you got to pick whatever of the beds in the room you got to choose, and I just eased my way around the room, and we had a
hmm
great time.
Um,
We ordered
I did wake up.
we ordered pizza. We ordered pizza at 3 a.m.
How good of a roommate am I, Dave? When you got back, because I lost you at
Oh
some
yeah,
point.
yeah.
I ordered food for Dave. Preemptive. I didn't know Rob was coming, and Ashley came over too for a little bit. I didn't know everyone was coming, but I did order food for you, Dave.
I remember that because we got there and we're like, we need pizza, and you're like, dude, I have already ordered. Yeah, exactly. It's like I was like, did we just become best friends? The
We
only thing
are.
the only thing we didn't do in Cancun is turn our beds into bunk beds, but I think the next time we might do it.
Uh, I thought I heard rumors of something with hot tubs and bubbles, and we don't have to get into details because I'm sure they're watching and laughing. But I heard there was an incident.
Bro,
That
there, there's
scared
a there's always incidents. There's
me.
always incidents. Hey,
The room
so
could have
one of
been-
the things I want to, as we end this, I want to, because I could talk to you all night, buddy. I want to, you to talk a little bit about the camping, because you love winter camping, and
Yeah.
um, and I want to hear about it.
All right. So, to be honest, we won't touch into what everything that's going on right now in the world. But to be honest, this is a great time. Why I love winter camping. And a lot of things that I do might seem like the hard way, and it is sometimes. But I think the lessons that are learned from doing things, the hard way, or sometimes, like you said, taking the long route, it might take you longer, and there are going to be some more stumbles. But though that's you're writing some more chapters in that life book, and there are going to be some good chapters. So yeah, basically, I really like winter camping because it's been a really good learning curve. the first few times I went, I lived to tell about it, but I was not comfortable. Really froze my butt off, and everything else, just a lot to learn on the way. And I liked that challenge. But the biggest thing, like I was talking about with everything going on, when you're out camping and you're out in the bush or out in the mountains, one, you're self-reliant. It's whatever you got and whatever's up here, that's all you have to rely on. You could call 911 and search and rescue, but you're going to be long and cold and dehydrated and frostbite long before they're probably going to get to you. So you're really on your own. And like I say, it's times like this where just having food and water and even just that little bit of shelter from a sleeping bag or your tent and trying to survive and cook food, and of course when you can bring other people with you and enjoy and share that, whether it's camping in the summer or winter. But like I say, when you get back home, then there is nothing better than just a warm shower and knowing that your house is going to be heated when you get there and a little better walls. Again, it's just this appreciating the truly simple things in life, because I think we all forget that too much, and I know we're going through tough times right now, but hey, you're cold, you turn a dial on your wall and it's 82 degrees, or it's too hot. Okay, I want it to be 65. You want lights, you turn them on. You're hungry, you open the fridge. Here we are drinking beers and internet and movies. And I mean, we really are blessed, all of us, for, some have it rougher than others, but that's why I love camping in the bush and in the mountains and being in that extreme conditions, because it helps us to appreciate just the simple things.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say to people, there's two ways to go through anything. There's a hard way and an easy way. Always take the hard way, because the easy way gets harder. And I use this for a term for mountain biking or dirt biking. You'll be going down the trail and there's an easy way and a hard way. Usually if you take the hard line, it gets easier after. But when you take the easy line, it gets really hard after. And so life is, and what you just said, I think it's why we love sledding and being out there, and everybody does, is that when you come home, you're more refreshed, you're more balanced, you're more happy, and things don't jar you as much. And that's why I think I encourage everybody out there, all the sledders out there, make sure you're smiling and say hi to people and get a smile on your face, man. Just try it for one day. Go around and have a smile on your face the whole day. You'll be amazed how many people look at you and then just start smiling. And it's infectious. It passes it on. And especially with these times right now, because there are people going through really hard times, and there's people that are going through semi-hard times, and other people that are like, they're like, wow, this is just, part of life, and it's part of the adventure. And so with people that think like that, which are, I think like that, you think like that, we got to pass that on and pass that good vibe. So, the last thing I want to ask you is, where would you go? Quick question, because we're probably going to get it cut off in about 2 minutes. Where would you like to go sledding that you've never been before?
I honestly, I would like to go to Russia, I think. Just because I've never been there. And I think, like, the crazy Russians, just that stigmatism,
Yeah. Hey, dude, put your fist up. We're going to go to Russia. Bam.
Yeah.
That would be, you know who we're going to go there with? Brett Rasmussen. That guy, he wants us there. He needs us. Brett, I know you're watching. You need somebody to get your Mountain Dew and, gas up your machine. You don't want to be doing that. You're too fancy for that. That's a job for the guys who down in the ditches like Matt and I.
Yeah, we could be like his Sherpas.
Hey, I just want to say before we get cut off, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have you back in the fall. I love you, brother. You're a great person, and take care of yourself. Have a wicked summer, and we will talk to you soon. And we also want to say bye to everybody out there. You can visit Matt on his Instagram and Facebook. Give him a like. The guy is rad. He does lots of cool stuff. And thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great night. Hug and kiss your family, and chill with your bros. Have a beer.
Appreciate life, everybody.
All right.
Cheers.
We'll chat soon, buddy.
All right. Thanks again, Dave.
See you later.
Catch you later.